Hey, you're listening to Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, and this is Grady Hooker. Unfortunately, no one is going to be joining me live on Skype, so you're going to have to put up with my voice for roughly 24 minutes with some songs and some ads in the middle. So we'll get straight into Raw. We got the Authority, but we got a massive surprise. Vince McMahon decides to come down, does the classic, buy the network, blah blah blah, ignore all of that. The important part coming out of his conversation was that the Team Authority Team John Cena match at Survivor Series. Now, if Team Authority loses, there will be no Authority. That means they're out of power. Nobody knows what will happen. I think we'll assume Vince takes back over. But, I don't know. Personally, I think this stipulation here has boxed the match into a corner now. I think it's quite... They could still pull a fast one on me, but I think it's quite unlikely that Team Authority will lose. The Authority has been a hot angle, getting lots of heat, working perfectly. It makes almost no sense to completely kill off the angle now. So I think that angle, at least maybe only until the next WrestleMania, or even further, needs to keep going. I don't think you should cut it this short. But, WWE... They've done funnier things before where they've killed off an angle before you've thought it should have. Cough Nexus. But, I think that's pretty much forced a Team Authority win. Dean Ambrose taking on Cesaro. So this isn't the first time we've seen these guys go at it. They've been pretty decent matches, to be honest. But, this main point of this match, again, was to bury Cesaro, right? Just kill him off. But no matter how bad it looks for Cesaro, it was to push the Ambrose-Wyatt feud. So Bray Wyatt appeared on the stage and disappeared when Ambrose went after him. It seems that we're seeing a very Undertaker-y Bray Wyatt lately, with the holograms, the smoke, all that sort of stuff, the disappearing and appearing. He's very reminiscent of The Undertaker, pretty much throughout his entire run, more of his Phenom run. Hopefully we don't see any live hangings or crucifixions, but, it's Bray Wyatt. He's a little crazy. I'm going to predict a singles match between those two at Survivor Series. In fact, I believe it is announced as of now. WWE.com, check on there. They know everything. The Miz Versus Jimmy Uso. It sort of surprised me coming out of left field here that The Miz and Damien Mizdow seem to be in a feud with the Usos. What that means for the tag titles, I'm not too sure. It does mean that there is another tag team in the running, which is always a good thing. I thought their pool of available tag teams was a little empty. We didn't really want to see the Usos and Goddess Stardust 2-on-2 again. We'd seen that a few times. But now if you've got people like Miz and Mizdow, Los Matadors, if you really need them, Slater Gator, there's enough teams there, especially since later on in the night, second to last match, Los Matadors' Fernando took on Stardust. Miz and Mizdow were on commentary, so, brawl, quite obviously it was going to happen. Fernando picked up the win over the tag team champs. This is leading me to believe that at least those three, probably the Usos since they were with them earlier, so either a three-way or a fatal four-way tag team match for the tag titles at Survivor Series. It's going to be exciting. I'm going to say I haven't seen one of those for a while. I'll probably be proven wrong quite fast. But it's always good to see all of these tag teams get in the ring at once. There's sometimes they can screw you over with some rule adaptations, which are not exactly my favorite. But as long as we get a good match between these teams, if it happens, I'm quite happy. So The Miz beat Jimmy Uso and Fernando beat Stardust. Okay, so we got Tyson Kidd taking on Sheamus. Somehow, even though I know it was with the use of Natalia, Tyson Kidd defeated Sheamus. That's a big jump up for Tyson Kidd, who we've seen recently highlighted on NXT. Went for the NXT Championship a few times, couldn't get that, but can defeat the US Champion Sheamus. Don't know what this is. Well, the former US champ Sheamus, because in a new initiative, when Raw finished, live on the WWE Network, there was a single match. It was Rusev versus Sheamus for the US title, and Rusev picked up the win, and now he's the US champ. But what intrigued me is a single live match on the network. I know it's a way to try and push network buys, anything can happen, because people who don't have the network would just look on Smackdown and be like, what happened here? Or next week on Raw and be like, why, what's this? Or they'll see it online. But it's definitely an interesting concept. I think if we keep going with this concept, it could definitely evolve into something bigger and better. I don't want to say more in terms of Raw being on the network, because I know of TV rights, and that if they lose those, they're pretty much screwed. But I'm a firm believer in the network, no matter how bad the buys are, or how bad everyone seems to think it is. I think it's a great product, and it's amazing what it does, but they're definitely not placing enough emphasis on the archive footage. It's all $9.99, get the pay-per-views, all of that jazz, but what is there? There's got to be like thousands and thousands of hours of archive footage. You can pretty much watch every single Attitude Era, I think they put up, Attitude Era, Nitro, all of those sort of ones, and they're all up on the network. And we all know the price. I'm not going to mention the price. But whether this is a push for Tyson Kidd, I don't know. It was a count-out victory, so I guess it could be the start of something. But we've also seen single match wins over these before. Josh probably isn't too happy the champion lost. I'm also going to just throw out Sheamus Rusev. They'll rematch at some point, I think, but Rusev is definitely gaining heat over the US title debacle, so I think that's a great thing to have him have it. Sheamus wasn't doing anything, let's just be completely honest. He was holding the title. It was just a glorified necklace, and wasn't doing anything with it. So I guess we'll go into our classic entrance theme of the week. Thanks, Josh, for picking a weird one. It's Men on a Mission. And you're back with the Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, Grady Hooker. So I'll just jump into Raw where I left off. The Authority pretty much are trying to screw anyone out that want to be on Team Cena. So Dolph Ziggler, get in, join our team, and it seems weird. Ziggler said, no, I don't want to join your team. I want you out of power. And then now he has to defend his title against Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins is already carrying around the Money in the Bank briefcase, doing nothing with that. But then straight after that, the match happens. Seth actually won, surprisingly, but by DQ. So we still have Dolph Ziggler as our Intercontinental Champion, most likely still on Team Cena. I'm seeing a trend. I've looked ahead. I'm using my future goggles to the Raw that aired this week, and I'm seeing a lot of trying to injure or trying to screw over the people in Team Cena. So Mercury and Noble came out, and then Randy Orton came out, and I don't know. It was weird. Orton's just RKOing people out of nowhere, and wanted a match with Seth, so I guess that's second Seth match. It's gonna pull double duty here, and Triple H is hoping that they will get it out of their system. Just a sneak preview. They didn't. But yeah, Randy Orton's definitely a wild card here. Spoilers, they wrote him off at the end of the show to go film his new movie, and I don't know how long he'll be out, if he'll be back in time for Survivor Series. I don't think there's any way he'll be on Team Authority. There's a chance he'll be on Team Cena, but there's a chance he will just be like freelancer, no team, RKO everybody like Josh wants, or not even show up because he's still filming his movie. It could go anyway at this point. So we got Ryback, the big man, defeating Titus O'Neil. It wasn't too long ago we were thinking something was happening for Slater and the Gator. They seem to be getting a bit of a push. They were featured more prominently on Raw and Smackdown. Now they're just losing to Ryback. I'm pretty sure most people saw Titus O'Neil as a future champion. He has the look, and he has most of the skill there. But WWE know Ryback can be in the big leagues, and they need people up there right now, especially with Orton leaving to film his movie, Daniel Bryan injured, Roman Reigns injured, Cena can't go forever, Brock Lesnar not actively appearing in the company. So you need to sort of pull some people back and push them up there so we have talent to take over when these people get injured and we're not left like this. Luckily, the likes of Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, they've all been able to fill those spots quite well and put on entertaining shows, which I think is the whole point of everything. And Ryback getting up there back again in the big leagues, as long as he's not pushed as hard as he was last time. I know that was a big thing in his downfall. He was like undefeated, pushed straight up, title match, loses title match, falls, plummets, Paul Heyman guy, plummets, tag team with Curtis Axel, injured, and now he's coming back. So hopefully we see something big out of Ryback. Whether he'll get back up to where he was, hopefully he does, but I hope he gets up there a lot slower than he went up there last time. He's a lot more ring tested and ready to go though. So now we got Big Show versus Mark Henry. This is an interesting feud. I gotta not let it go. I called this. I said this ages ago that this would happen. I was correct. But I'm gonna guess, because they'll leave the single match of Big Show versus Mark Henry because you could see it as a big match. I'm gonna figure that they'll put one on each, like one Big Show on Team Cena, Mark Henry on Team Authority, and that's a way to help buff out Team Authority, since they do, if Orton's leaving, really only have Seth and Kane. Probably someone else I'm forgetting as well, but Seth and Kane. So adding Mark Henry is definitely a dominant force and something they'll need, and Big Show's the best combator of that to go on Team Cena. We've seen Big Show team up with Cena before as sort of the classic good guys. So yeah, Big Show won this match. It was disqualification because Henry decided to attack him with the ring steps and completely dominate him. So far this feud has been pretty one-sided. Mark Henry seems to be dominating Big Show for the most part. Around every corner it seems to be a world's strongest slam. But I could definitely see it taking a turn. Maybe in the Team Cena match, Team Authority match, Big Show eliminates Mark Henry, and then Mark Henry doesn't leave and just beats down Big Show, leading to his elimination, just to further that feud, and then singles match between them at whatever the next pay-per-view is. I'm blanking at the moment. This is where Josh would normally pipe in. It's this one. It's not helpful, Josh. You're not here today. Okay, next we got Nikki Bella versus Emma. So Nikki Bella, number one contender of the Divas Championship. Was she ever going to lose to Emma? No. AJ Lee on commentary. I gotta say, AJ and Paige on commentary is like, they're better than the normal commentators. Can we have just those two? Like, fire everybody else, leave them on SmackDown, and just have AJ and Paige all night long on the commentators. So Nikki is still playing up this Bree's my personal assistant. I haven't done the calculations on 30 days, but I have a feeling it ends after Survivor Series. I was hoping that there's like a perfect 30 days between pay-per-views. I don't think that math adds up, but if there was, it would be like at 12, I don't know what time it happens, what is it, like 9 o'clock at night, it ticks over to be the exact 30 days that the contract was signed for, and then she screws her over in the middle of the match because time flicks over perfectly, and she's like, what are you doing, you're my assistant, not as of 20 seconds ago. That's my guess, but I guessed right with Big Show Mark Henry, so you never know there. So Nikki's just making Brie do a bunch of stuff like slapping AJ, attacking people, making sure she wins the match. So I've pretty much said where I want that feud to go. Rusev, Zack Ryder. Goodbye, Zack Ryder. It seems he comes and he goes, and when he goes, it's always in spectacular fashion, losing to the Accolade. I also think Zack Ryder tweeted something, I don't remember correctly, but he tweeted something about being injured, out for 6 to 8 weeks, I believe. Not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. Just look him up, Twitter, Zack Ryder, you'll find him. So what do we got? The main event, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton. To me, quite a good match. And I was surprised by the ending in terms of Seth Rollins. It was a, backslide, but it was a clean victory. There was no interference from other people, any of that jazz. He won straight up. Orton seemed to be, happy-go-lucky. Yeah, I'm friends with all of you. But then RKO out of nowhere, which seems to be the running trend. I actually saw on Facebook, WWE put up a photo, and it's a photoshopped picture of Randy Orton doing an RKO out of nowhere to big $9.99 letters. And they said, we've RKO'd the WWE Network out of nowhere, or something like that. Just, no. Please. And I also know that they're trying to target specifically New Zealanders. You can have a look, you can hover over the little globe icon next to their post, and it says custom, and that means that they've targeted specific regions of people. And all of the New Zealand ones is LMP. It's a drink down here, it's a fizzy drink, so it's like lemonade, but not lemonade. And it's for $9.99, you can get 3.5 bottles of LMP or the WWE Network. And it seems to be the network, the things they're trying to do to promote the network here. Since I'm not registered on Facebook to any other countries, I can't see if they're doing similar to other countries. It'd be interesting to see, but who knows? If it works, it works. And Triple H pretty much evened the score here, and Orton's down and out. Curb stomp. Curb stomp seems to be a nice way to write people off lately. Whether it's into cinder blocks or announce table, who knows. Ring steps. It just writes people off. So we're going to go into our current entrance theme. It's Los Matadors. Ole, ole. Ole, 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 ole. Wrong ole, sorry. You're back with Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0. This is Grady Hooker. So I'm going to go into Smackdown. This is a rare appearance. We don't normally get to Smackdown. We normally run out of time before then. But since I don't have the chatty Americans here, I've got enough time to head into Smackdown. So the Usos, Goldust Stardust, I just said on Raw, we didn't want to see another singles match. But somehow we got one. It was for the tag titles. But we got a steel cage match. So it's slightly different. It provided a different dynamic for the two teams. They fought back and forth in a different way. They weren't just utilizing the ring. They also had the cage. I don't know. I don't remember. But I hope Stardust didn't do a moonsault off the top of the cage this time. Stardust ended up picking up the win, though. He pinned one of the Usos. So I was talking also on Raw about the burial, the total and utter destruction of Cesaro. That continued with Ryback just completely squashing him with the Shell Shocked. Cesaro's not having any luck lately, ever since being a Paul Heyman guy and then splitting off. He hasn't. Then again, he was also a real American, and I don't know what. Cesaro's a good talent. He can wrestle really well, but he's not getting a fair go. As Josh mentioned last week, it might be due to the fact that he badmouthed Randy Orton versus John Cena in an interview. Who knows what's happening at the moment. Let's just hope he gets back up to where he was again. R-Truth defeated Adam Rose Yes, you're going to hear this right, where they roll up after the bunny distracted Rose. So yes, we're finally, again, as Grady called it, having lots of luck lately with these calls. Bunny versus Rose. It's going to be happening. Because Adam Rose completely flipped out and attacked his bunny. And somehow Adam Rose still had all of his rosebuds. They followed him, even after the brutal attack. So I'm not sure if Adam Rose is turning heel here and the rosebuds are going with him, or the bunny's turning heel and Adam Rose just flipped out a little bit. But I got no idea what's happening there. All I know is Adam Rose will be taking on the bunny, probably at Survivor Series. So we got another rare occurrence here. Christian, he came back. He gets to host his Peep Show segment. I don't know what the circumstances are with Christian, but I'm going to assume he's no longer full-time wrestling again. But we haven't even seen him come back for a couple of matches. So, I don't know, maybe one more match, one more run. If we had the World Heavyweight title, I think it's a lot easier because it doesn't have to rely on just a single champion, and you can have angles with Christian or other people coming in for the World Heavyweight title, but I'm not going to go off on my 2-title agenda. We do only have about 4 minutes left in the show. But he hosted his Peep Show segment, special guest Dean Ambrose, and pretty much Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, brawl again. So, yay. I'm hoping that's going to be a really good match. They are two great wrestlers. Dean Ambrose has put on hell of a good matches with pretty much everyone he's ever fought, and I can say that pretty much also about Bray Wyatt. They've put on great matches individually, so I'm going to assume that their singles match together is going to be a masterpiece, and that we're going to see a couple of them. Hopefully not just a single one. So next we got Summer Rae defeating Natalia. So this time Tyson Kidd distracts Natalia, but she loses, unlike Tyson Kidd over on Raw. So the angle that we've seen on NXT is pretty much filtering through now onto WWE TV, in that it's also a Total Divas angle, that Natalia and Tyson Kidd are having quote-unquote marital disputes, which is a little weird of an angle, but I guess it's getting both of them up on TV, and I don't know, it was okay on NXT. They were referring to Tyson as Natty's husband, so hopefully that comes through onto WWE TV. They pick it up, start chanting that through all of his matches. It's great to see Tyson up here, same as Natalia. Josh would probably... I'll be Josh right now. Oh, it's really great to see Natalia up on WWE TV. She's the best wrestler for the Divas, and she should be the champion. Why, she should, Josh. Yeah, she should. She should take on AJ, make her tap out to the sharpshooter, and take the title. Wow, Josh. Is that what you think? Yep, that's what I think. But yeah. Summer Rae. Don't know what happened to her. Layla, they were meant to have a tag team. I don't know. WWE actually put up a new photo set of Layla, and they captioned it, Layla's back, and then like a rest of a sentence. So I don't know what's happening with them. We seem to have like 4 or 5 divas, and then the Total Divas, and then we don't see the Total Divas at all, but we see those like 4, 5 maybe. So we had a veteran, Dan Rose, and WWE are now partnering with Soldier Socks to help disabled US veterans. So I think as of this recording, yesterday was Veterans Day in America. So it's always great to see people, even big companies like WWE, out and supporting the veterans. It's a big thing in New Zealand as well. We got Anzac Day. And it's really amazing to see all of the support for these veterans. So the main event of Smackdown was a second steel cage match, Kane versus Dolph Ziggler, and this one ended with Dolph Ziggler coming up with the win via cage escape. I don't think there was... It's Kane, he's in a cage, you really should just run. Or as Eric Rowan would say, run. Okay, so that's all the time we got for this week on the show. You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, our Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling Radio, or our website, wrestlingroundup.host22.com, wrestlingroundup.host22.com. I'll see you next week, hopefully with more co-hosts.